Well, thank you. We've heard from all three of our panelists, and I'd like to open the floor to some questions. Now, we were going to do these in chat. I don't see any in chat at the moment, so perhaps what we could do is,
I do see in chat, it was only to me, but is it Jun Young asked to see slide 8 again?
oh, absolutely. Okay, Elena Leshyn says, this work has been fascinating for me. I have admired Clark's work for many years. As you know, his Onteniente is very special to me and my family. I wish I do know that, Elena, and I wish we had your voice to tell us about it.
We have the last slide,
Which one?
second to the last slide, sorry.
Oh, yes. Thank you,
There
Elizabeth.
it is. That's the painting. That's Onteniente, which is in Spain. And let's see if I get this right. Well, maybe you should tell it, Penelope. Elena's story with it.
Well, Elena, I can only gloss over the story, but you have family in that region of Spain, which I believe even has its own specific dialect. And I believe you can just type corrections into the chat. And I believe you came to us because you have an archival print, you have a reproduction. And you sent us a picture of you in front of your reproduction on your wall, I think. And oh, there's a family member who was the custodian at the chapel in the tower, right?
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, she's written it. The great grandfather was the custodian of that chapel. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Elena.
So
Yeah.
that painting, my mother is in my mother's house. It's in the house I grew up in. We still have that. Yeah. And originally it was about twice as deep. It had the whole hillside. And that's another case, just like with the one that Woodville that Jack was talking about, where he finished the whole painting and it went in the bin because he's like, there's something wrong with it. And finally he pulled it back out of the bin and he said, well, I just got to get rid of the bottom half of that painting. So he chopped it off.
Oh, wow. So that's why it's that long landscape orientation. It was just a chop.
Yep.
See, this interests me that is such a practical and unromantic decision that resulted in such beauty.
Well, things stayed in the bin though, because it's not, I mean, it is emotional. It's like, I just invested all this time in this thing. Yeah. And I don't want to throw it away and I don't know what to do with it. But yeah, yep, you have to be practical and pragmatic. That's what we're trying to teach. Yep.
Absolutely. Do we have more questions that we can handle technically? I know there's a couple people
in the chat.
Yeah.
I think Peter's asked.
Oh, excellent. Thanks, Peter. Did Clark have any pupils or studio assistants who went on to make art of their own? Great question.
No. No. He had a few like people that he mentored, but he was not a teacher. He taught after he left the Art Students League. He taught for one semester at Pratt, and his letter quitting crossed the mail with their letter firing him. He never taught again. So he did not enjoy that, and he wouldn't even let us in his studio half the time. You know, that was like his own private. Yeah. You know, he was not that kind of artist, unfortunately. But he did mentor people, and artists would write to him, and they would send him things, you know, and he would kibitz more than teach. Yeah.
So peer networking a little bit more, or mentorship.
I will say that he was the leading edge of a bunch of subject matter, and there are several very well-known, very successful artists working now who were tremendously influenced by him and his work, but not because he taught them.
Right, but I do think that the fund's work is therefore an extension of his desire to mentor and network or encourage networking. I think that's great.
That's right, and you used a great word that I didn't bring up, and it is at the heart of what we're doing. It's why we're excited to do this evening. It's about community and it's about networking. Artists don't have a professional association that they go to, you know, and we're trying to build one for them, or with them rather, right? So they can they can lean on each other both for artistic and also business support. That's absolutely right. And he was big on that. He was big on that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Peter. Does anyone else want to throw a question into chat or see another slide again? All right.
There's one in there. There's one in there, Penelope. When do we expect the book to be ready?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Well, if all goes according to plan, we are hoping it's going to be 2022, which is the 100th anniversary of Clark's birth.
Yeah, the real goal would be, say, September, October, so 12 months from now, which would be in front of his birthday was late November. So.
I'd like to say how much I appreciate what Michael did in putting this together for Haverford. You know, I hope that as part of what we've done this evening is that people will recognize that Haverford College had passed through its halls and across its grounds one of the most important American painters, certainly of our time. And I'm so glad that this is being recognized. And I want to thank you, Michael.
Mitchell.
Thank you. We're very grateful to Mitchell Cohen. I'm sorry his audio isn't on tonight. No, that's okay. We're super happy about all of the care and love that you put into making this evening happen, and we're grateful to have you as a board member at the Clark Hulings Fund as well. And if you'll just look behind Mitchell, I've spotlit his video for you. You will see a Hulings still life. Yeah, thank you, Mitchell. And just as we start to wrap up and say all of our thanks to everyone in the group, I want to quickly give you an invitation to stay connected with us and join us. So here you can see the lovely Elizabeth in front of Onteniente. Here are our two websites, clarkhulingsfund.org, that's our nonprofit that teaches entrepreneurial education for artists, and clarkhulings.com is the estate. Elizabeth at clarkhulings.com. You can email us to stay in touch. We are always looking for interns on both sides of the organization. We have them do everything from editorial and writing tasks to research to crowdfunding campaigns. So please let us know if that interests you and we will hook you up. Thank you so much to Haverford College. Again, we could not have done this without you, and it means so much to us to be part of Hulings alma mater. And just before we go, I want to say thank you so much again to all of our wonderful panelists. I don't know if I can spotlight you all at the same time, but Elizabeth Hulings, Jack A. Morris Jr., and James D. Balestrieri. Can we all give them a round of applause or use your applause reactions? Thank you so much.
You had one more question in chat.
Well, I'm going to look at it. Thank you, Paula.
Sure. How many paintings, I think somebody was asking.
How many paintings?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, you know, he had serial careers, so there's that, first of all. Like, how many illustrations? Maybe 400, that's a guess. How many major paintings? I think we have about over 1,100 things in the archive right now, in the catalog. So, I mean, all in, a couple thousand, which isn't actually that much. If you think about it, he was not super prolific. It took him a long time to make large paintings, but he just never quit. And he lived to be 88, and he had a sellout one-man show when he was 85. So, you know, he was the tortoise rather than a hare. So we have a lot of his work.
I just wanted to say one more thank you before we wrap up for tonight. Please do stay in touch with us, clarkhulingsfund.org, clarkhulings.com, and we look forward to keeping you updated on what we're up to and hearing about what you're doing in the art world to make it a better place as well. So thank you so much for being with us.
And thank you, Penelope.
You're very welcome. Good night, everyone.